3, 1. All right, welcome everyone to NFT Gaming Bites. This is take 2 of Icons of Theia. Last time we did this, for whatever reason, you guys cursed my computer. I had to factory reset my GPU, all these things. Definitely not actually your guys' fault. It was happening all the time. So finally got it figured out. We should have a stable show here today. So thank you, community, for being here with us. We have Sasha and Guy from Icons of Theia. Thank you guys so much for joining. We are excited to learn about your project here. So I want to give you guys just a chance to introduce yourself, introduce your project, and what do you want people to know about this game that have maybe never even heard of Icons of Theia yet?
Yeah, nice to be here. Luke, thanks for having us. Yeah, no, excited to talk a little bit about Icons of Theia. Yeah, indeed, we have been out there. Let's say yet, we're still in a pre-development state, like a pre-alpha state. So there's a lot still to come for Icons of Theia, but very happy to have the chance to present a little bit of what we are working, which type of game we are making, and or overall visuals, especially long-term visuals we have for our game and for the platform we are creating.
Yeah, and Sasha, you want to introduce yourself as well?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Sasha. Obviously, I'm the influencer and guild manager with Icons of Theia, and I'm excited to be here today and just to answer some questions and get you guys to know us better.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate the way you guys reached out, and it seems like you guys really want to interact with a lot of communities. So I love that. You guys are showing already to me that you guys are here for gaming, for community, not just, hey, we want to flip some NFTs. So I appreciate that about you guys as I've gotten to know you. First of all, I just want to know, what can people expect as the game, right? This is what we're here for. We're here for the game, the earning, all that. That's great. But what kind of game is this? I see on your website you got chess times MOBA. What does that mean? I know it's a strategy game, but what are some games maybe you guys can compare it to and give us a little bit of a visualization of what's to come?
Yeah, Icons of Theia is gonna be a turn-based strategy game. So in a board format, you have your own team of your heroes, which you call icons in the game, and you control them and you move them through the tiles with each of them with different abilities, their own in-game class. You have a damage dealer, you have the healers, you have the tanks, etc. For us, we consider to be a mix of traditional turn-based strategy games, Fire Emblem or Final Fantasy Tactics. We have a very clear MOBA approach, especially regarding neutral objectives across the board, across the map. The final objective of the game, which it is to destroy the enemy base, with a touch and how some resemble a little bit how chess works, especially regarding how the turn is going to take place, and with a timer, with a clock as well. So yeah, let's say it's a big meetup between MOBA, Fire Emblem, FFT, and touch of chess as well. But yeah.
Is this typically the kinds of games that you guys play and are these are you guys jumping into all these turn-based strategy games like this, or what is your normal go-to games?
Yeah, I'm a huge MOBA guy. Been playing League of Legends for over 10 years. I think company-wide, however, everyone joins strategy games. One of our co-founders, Castle, he was a big Civilization 4 modder back in the day, 15 years ago. Myself, play a lot of real-time strategy, StarCraft, for example, play a lot of it too. I think everyone as a whole here in the company, we enjoy strategy games, and also fans of FFT, Final Fantasy Tactics, especially. So we realize that right now, there is a lack of such quality turn-based strategy games, and we decide not only to create a fun, enjoyable game on Web3, but also something that can resemble some of our favorite games, and put together. So that's why this FFT meets the MOBA approach. I think this is a very unique, and that can be that can be exciting not only for strategy enthusiasts, but also for MOBA enthusiasts, and for a lot of gamers around the world.
Yeah, no, I'm excited because I'm trying to get more into strategy games because I don't know if you guys experience this, but as I get older, I feel like I'm getting worse and worse at MOBAs and shooters and things that need those fast twitch muscles. It's like,
Yeah.
man, I'm already losing them at 28. This sucks. But
Yeah.
what about you, Sasha? Is this the type of game that really excites you?
Yeah. I'm also more kind of like you, getting older, more into like strategy games, in some of the ways that I need more to use my head than my motion skills on the set. And so yeah, I'm really liking this. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm excited to see what happens as far as gameplay. I do want to hear from you guys though. Like, what is the whole vision and point behind here creating an NFT game? We've seen a lot of gamers kind of push back, saying they're scams or they're ruining the whole green initiative of the world. Burning down trees with every NFT, or whatever reason. They see these games that have $2,000 NFTs and they're like, that just seems ridiculous. That's all pay to win. So there's a huge chunk of gamers that just don't understand, that they don't get this. So why are you guys trying to break into the NFT gaming space? Like, what is the reason behind all this?
Yeah, I think our biggest reason here is that we believe in true asset ownership. We believe that whatever the players get in the game, items, heroes, skins, and other assets, they should be able to they should truly belong to them. And the best way to assure that, and that us, as a company, we don't have any impact on that, we don't have a voice of what we do with your assets, is do that as NFTs. Is do that you have the power to have your assets as NFTs, and you have completely full ownership, and you can do pretty much whatever you want. I used to play 10 years ago Diablo 3, and it was the first game where you players would actually be able to own their in-game items and sell them. Back then, you sold in a real money auction house, and then you got the money through PayPal, which was pretty fun. And for me personally, it opened my eyes, to start. Yeah, indeed, this is the right thing to do. This is the right thing, that where players should own their assets and be able to have the chance to even sell them if they want. As I mentioned, now I'm a huge League of Legends player and playing for 10 years, spend way too much money on League, but at the end of the day, nothing really belongs to me, all the assets, everything, is only, if you see the terms and conditions, are just kind of it's I have a right to use them, but they don't really belong to me. And, you spend money on something, and you invest your, not only, money, but your time, your commitment. I think, you should be able, to have something to show for, something that you should truly own. So I think that's gonna be one of the biggest biggest features that Web3 can help with gaming as a whole. And personally, why I believe that eventually game in general is gonna be mostly decentralized, because it enables true asset ownership for players. And I think some players most gamers as well have this kind of it has something against let's say Web3 gaming, and I think only the bad news come out, the bad coverage regarding NFTs killing the burn the planet, which if we know very well that that's not true, especially on layer 2 solutions. But as people figure out that they actually own their in-game stuff, we're gonna see a major switch into games become more integrated in the blockchain. And we're starting this we're starting by creating a fun, enjoyable, competitive experience where players can truly own their assets, can be able to do whatever they want. And also second important points that by enabling the rise of empowered autonomous community, an DAO in this case for us, we can work together with our community, determine the next steps regarding game development, regarding features and everything else. I think everything is fascinating. It's more it's not the developer making the games, a product for their players, and they need to suck it with whatever they come up with. It's more everyone working together toward the same goal. It's it's not us as a developer making the games. It's more developing the games with the community. It's kind of it's more a cooperative in that way. So
yeah, I love that vision, especially because you think of games that people have put in thousands of hours of time, and not only, as you said, can they sell their NFT assets if they want to, but they can also participate in the game. And how many games have just completely, whatever company ruined the game after you spent thousands of hours in this giant MMO or whatever it is, and you had no say in their decision, right? And they did something, implemented a new map or changed the skill sets or whatever they did, can just completely ruin a game. So yeah, I love that vision. Sasha, what about for you? What excites you about having an NFT game creation rather than, hey, we're just gonna make any regular old game?
Well, exactly what Guy said. Like, I'm also kind of a MOBA guy and did a lot of LOL, and especially there did pay them a lot for things I don't really own. So now I'm like not really playing the game anymore, but I'm made on the game. I made like minus 1,000, minus 1,500 bucks, and that's not really for me now. If I'm thinking now of it, like, why did I do it? Why did I spend so much money on something that I don't truly own? It's like it's like a really bad rent thing, and yeah, I just want to have really full control over my money, and I think it's the way to do with NFT.
Yeah. I feel like if we could all just pull up the money from our League of Legends skins, if they were NFTs and so on, we could probably do this interview in person. We could all get plane tickets and just meet up, hang out. We probably all have a decent chunk of money in there. But yeah, that's awesome. I love the vision. I love the heart behind what you guys are trying to do with this game, Icons of Theia. Let's jump to the chat. I got a couple questions coming in. Chat, feel free to answer or ask some more questions. First of all, just some simple questions from Shopping Channel coming in. They want to know what chain it is on.
We're on Polygon, so we're started on Polygon, like for whatever reasons, like for many reasons, like it's like carbon neutral, so it's like actually not killing the planet. So that's going to be like a good point when we actually promoting our game to traditional gamers, because as I just mentioned, one of the biggest like cons, like the consider about Web3 gaming is that it's kind of like NFTs kill the planet, yeah, maybe your traditional Ethereum kind of art like ape or whatever, yeah, we know those, like there might be some hint of truth behind that, but working with Polygon ensures that all transactions are carbon neutral, and it's not helping messing up with our planet even more. And the second point is very low transaction fees, gas fees are very low, which for us makes a lot of sense because most of our NFTs are very low price. Like you could even buy like a character for as low as $5. So it doesn't make sense if you can buy something for $5 and have $5 extra as a transaction fee, so as a gas fee. So it doesn't make sense. So working with Polygon makes sense, and obviously there's other reasons. We got introduced to the Polygon team by one of our investors, so we have a relationship with them. So actually was a very natural consequence to our plan, to our vision to be working with Polygon. But ultimately we are envisioning a multi-chaining solution, so we're able to introduce to onboard different chains. We just have to be started with Polygon first, and based on that we might be moving to other ones in the near future.
Cool. For those that are maybe less familiar with blockchain technology, talk to me like I'm an idiot here. When you say multi-chain solution, is that, hey, everything's really happening on Polygon, but you can just transfer assets from ETH or from, BSC or whatever, or is it literally the game is on all these different blockchains?
It's probably gonna be on kind of be able to. It's gonna be running on Polygon, be able to trans assets and use other assets from other blockchains into kind of the main game run on Polygon. So let's say, for example, Immutable X, for example, which is a big one for a game like Gods Unchained, for example, you can use run through that as well, with our game. So I think it's the chains more like an enabling or internal game economy, enable transactions. The game itself, it's going to be obviously run as a game client. You need to download, you need to play. It's going to be a mobile first. So let's say you download the mobile app, and you start the game. It looks like a normal game. Doesn't even have any mention to blockchain, because we want everything obviously on Google Play, on App Store, so we can have mentions to that directly. But then be able later on to connect your wallet, and then later you can create connect to different wallets depending on which chain you use. And everything integrated and running in parallel.
Yeah, No, that's really good. I mean, I think the more options you can give people, right? That's one of the pain points I feel like for gamers here in this play to earn space. I don't know if you experienced this, Sasha, but it's like, oh, I'm playing this one game and now I want to jump into this other game, but guess what? I have to create a whole nother wallet, find out how to get some
Yeah,
assets onto it,
yeah,
find out how do I get the currency to pay for gas fees. Like,
yeah.
do you see that as a big issue for these play to earn games right now?
Yeah, sure. And of course, as we want to keep our entry barrier really low, we are also free to play. Um, this solution allows us to get the greatest community going and have that for a plus for ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah. Sweet. Well, the shopping channel is also asking some things about the team here. So, how big is the team? What kind of stage of development are you guys at? What do you guys have some timeline for a release or a demo or something playable?
Yeah, so we're right now a team of 10 full-timers. Like we're finalizing our seed round right now, actually, like in the next like couple of weeks. So we're gonna be hired like no more aggressively, especially in development and art. But we are like currently like developing the team. We have a playable version. We have been testing internally for some weeks already. Our first game mode, which is called Icons Clash, which is gonna be a simplified version of the game mode. Of the main mode, like the main mode is a 5v5. Like you control 5 characters, need to fight through neutral territory and destroy the enemy base. The first mode, Icons Clash, is just like a 3v3, like deathmatch style. So like even like more fast paced, aim to less like less than 5 minutes. But yeah, we have been playing internally. Like we have like full. We're able to run full matches, play around. We actually plan to run some internal like gameplay test sections with our community next week. So especially like NFT holders, like some of our like highest NFT holders, the one who are holding some of our most like we call it the legendary skin, they're gonna be able to apply for testing, and then we're gonna be enabling that end of next week already actually. And we're aiming like for an open beta of Icons Clash, hopefully by the end of like Q2, early Q3. And then like aiming for like a release like end Q3, early Q4, and then with the full icons of T experience like with open beta like by end of Q4 and a full release Q1 next year. Current like schedule, but yeah, like we're gonna actually like be posting some gameplay pretty soon. Actually, we're kind of like making it look a little better, but we can play already. We have been playing the game. I have the app already downloaded. I play a couple of matches myself. And can't wait to see like the community trying it out as well.
I love it. Sasha, do you beat Guy or does Guy beat you in these play tests?
No, I think I couldn't beat Guy. He's a way more experienced in the game than that. But I will try the next round, of course.
To be fair, it's a little unfair because I design a lot of the icons, the heroes, and the abilities myself.
Yeah.
So
unfair advantage.
So literally, like what they want, like who knows, like what is broken or not right now, and and the fun thing, like we are right now at a stage where we just want to make sure everything works properly in the game. So like no major game breaking bugs. The core mechanics work, but balancing is still like let's say a big work in progress. Mm-hmm. So it's very fun to play. There's so many broken stuff in the game, like kind of like overpowered heroes abilities, That's very normal. Like there's like the first stage, like you need to make sure that everything, like the basics, the core mechanics work. Let's say for example, like we have like terrain, like you need to play across the map, like with the terrain. You can place your character like in high ground, low ground, like they're forest terrains. Every single terrain with their own modifiers. So we are ensuring that like this core mechanics, like this core logic is working well. That abilities people can target, like things are working, like numbers, balancing, the business themselves, like that's still like a work in progress. So at this stage, like it's pretty fun to see like how unbalanced the game is, but it's so unbalanced, like that's actually very fun to play because like it's. But obviously, like as any game out there, like any competitive game out there, we are aiming very heavily, like to keep balancing, keep updating the game at the same time because we aim to offer like a very high level competitive experience. So we're gonna expect to have like the ones playing very seriously, like to get to the highest rankings and have being better at the game, like increase like earnings, increase like your rewards. So we expect to see the players trying to break the game, find like these crazy broken strategies, the combinations and everything else. And honestly, like, you see League of Legends, like, they even like being such a huge game, like, people keep doing, like, keep finding some broken stuff, like, for the last 10 years. And that's Riot's job, like, to identify that as soon as they can. In the next patch, like, nerf the hell out of it, So that's gonna be like our job as well, like, to keep monitoring to make sure, like, everything's balanced and fair. And upon identify something that is way too strong, for example, we are ready, like, to bring and balance the game.
Yeah, and the next question in the chat from Bobby, I think, fits in with this well. Will it be viable for, as a free-to-play game, can I actually compete without hundreds of dollars invested? So how do you guys balance out of competition versus owning, NFTs versus free-to-play? Is it all the same playing field, or is it more pay-to-win, I think, is kind of the fear of that question.
First, I hate pay-to-win. We all hate pay-to-win, screw pay-to-win. So we want to offer a competitive gaming experience, like a competitive and fair, like very important. And fun, imagine like fun, competitive, and fun, competitive, and reward. What did it say? Yeah, sorry, still early, but whatever. I got it. I try in my best.
Need a little more coffee.
Yeah, need more coffee. I have here my, but I try more. But pretty much fun. Let's say fun, competitive, and rewarding. You can only combine those through if you have gameplay already messed up. If you're playing with someone and you lose a game because they have they spend more money on better heroes or better abilities or better stats, it's already it's no fun. You lose the fun, and it's not a competitive experience. I feel like a game can only be truly competitive if everyone is on the same playing field. So League of Legends, for example, is very competitive because no matter how much money you spend on skins, your summoner, your champion is it's exactly the same as your enemies, for example, as a core concept, and a lot of competitive games are like shooting games, for example, are like these, you can just buy your way to have better stats. So I come from the esports background, worked 6-7 years, and pretty much all the big successful esports titles, they are around that the concept that the gameplay is fair. You can just buy your way to have better stats, better items. So that's how it's gonna work here. We're gonna have you can play the game for free, and you need to. I can admit that just like League of Legends, you need to grind your way to unlock all the playable heroes or the playable icons. You're gonna have, for example, a free-to-play game player. Let's say a free rotation of icons that you can use every week. Let's say we aim to release a game with 21 playable heroes icons, and every week you can play 5 of them, for example. And the next week, you rotate to the next free rotation. So the idea here, if you have a favorite icon, you can grind your way, playing free to, with the free rotation, you can grind a way to earn the, the internal, currency utility token until you have enough of that you can buy your icon at the store, and then you own the NFT. But it's a grinding process. I think the way you can spend money is more to save time, to facilitate, to speed up progress. But doesn't mean that once you spend money, you're gonna have a better chance to win the game. It's just that instead of waiting and grinding 50 games to unlock some new icons, you can just buy the way, you can just unlock your character right away. That's the core idea. And obviously we have skins, free cosmetic items as well. We see a lot of Web3 games these days that skins, they affect game stats, and that's not cool. The only exception to this is we're gonna have so-called sigils, which you can craft. It's more I don't know how familiar you are to Rune Sister in League of Legends.
Yeah, I mean I am, but for the viewers, I mean that's kind of the extra stat boost, right?
Yeah, it's more you have a selection of stats that you can select to personalize your individual champion, your hero. So I can select to mine plus attack, but you can select yours plus health, for example. Yeah. Or I can select to something that modifies the ability to do some healing, or whatever. So a hero that originally is an assassin, you can add a secondary play style based on your sigil selection. So you can make like your assassin more bursty, like they'll do even more damage. Or you can add some sustain through like life steal. Or you can even like have like some tankiness stats. So this assassin like becomes a sort of like of like off tank as well, So it's pretty like there are ways to personalize your own character. And that like you can only unlock that by having an icon NFT, because the sigils themselves are NFTs, so you need to kind of like connect the sigils NFTs to the icon NFT. So like free to play icons are not gonna have the sigils, but once you unlock the icon NFT, then you can attach a sigil. You can create and attach a sigil, and then personalize your sigil as the way you want.
Yeah. So over time, you can get hopefully earn from that free to play to your own NFT and get some of those extra stat boosts and stuff like that. So it's maybe if you're free to play, you're not going to be maybe the number one player, but you can still grind your way through the ranked modes and eventually get to that spot as well. Is that kind of the concept there?
Precisely.
Cool. Yeah, I'm curious from your guys' end. I think that's one side of the argument is everyone wants these games to have low entries, free to play. I want to be able to get there and earn, right? And on the other side, we've seen games that maybe have gone too far that way, where it's like everyone can come in for the free play and they're not actually there for the game. They're just there to try to soak up all the tokens, sell them off, earn some value, extract that out of the game. So how do you guys handle something like that? Like, is there ways to prevent just a bunch of hundreds and thousands of players or bots even coming in to just soak up all the rewards so that, well, we did earn stuff, but now the NFT is worth nothing, right?
Yeah, which obviously would destroy the meaning of even having everything on the blockchain. Definitely first, however, it is a competitive PvP game, so we expect the kind of for anyone who runs a simple bot, it's hard to beat a human player in the sense that you need to go to strategy, you need to kind of move accordingly across the board, need to use the right moves, need to use the right abilities, the right timing, resource management. So there's a lot of skills needed to play the game that you need as a human player, unless the boss is pretty smart, these genius chess bots. And honestly, I don't think most people running bots only for the sake of reward to be able to do that. It's hard to kind of for bots to just jumping and just beat human players. So our approach that, however, that we're gonna be tracking that incredibly hard, and we're gonna incorporate mechanisms that can track bot usage in the game and ban them right away as identified. We want our game to be played by humans, and again, and I think having bots ruin the main aspect that we are doing here, the fun aspect. No one wants to play against a bot. No one is expected to play against human, and suddenly they notice they're just against some dumb bot there, right? It's no fun. Not even if you win the game in 5 minutes, it's 5 minutes that where you're not having fun in the game. So we're definitely we're actually discussing internally some mechanisms that we can prevent that, and we're gonna be incorporating once the game is released.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, that's a huge discussion. I mean, right now I've played and streamed a lot of Splinterlands, and that's always the hottest topic is all these bots. What are we going to do about them? And so it's cool that you guys are already thinking about them. And Sasha, I want to get your thoughts on rewarding casual players versus I'm starting to hear this term of win to earn. It shouldn't just be play to earn. You should actually have to try to be good at the game and be competitive. Yeah. Is that something you guys believe in, or do you guys think it's more just hey, be casual, anyone can get rewards, anyone can come in and just not even have to take it that seriously?
No, I think it's an approach to both of them, because if you're really into the competitive one, you can get, of course, more rewards and climb the leaderboards. But as a casual player, if you have the will to grind and to play the game, you also can get rewards out of that. So it's basically for both of that. So it's really a play and earn experience. Not only you need to win. So something kind of like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Guy, how do you guys handle that as a team? Is that, hey, you get tokens in crypto whether you win or lose? Is it, hey, there's daily rewards even if you're maybe not the best player? How do you guys think about balancing some of those rewards?
Right now, how we see like because the PvP game, I think you're expected like to win the games to like kind of like to earn some like rewards, let's say. Right now, actually, the approach we have, especially at the start, is gonna be like a ladder system in which like you play the game, and if you win the game, you gain like a currency called we're gonna have like two core like kind of say progression currencies. One is called valor. It's like it's only attached like to the amount of games you play. So like the more games you play, you gain valor, and your performance like is gonna be like measured through like glory system. So literally if you win a game, you gain glory. If you lose a game, you lose glory. So it's more like a ladder system. So the more glory you have, the like the higher in the rankings you are. So we want to give rewards on players based on activity. So if they play a game, if they play a complete game, it says for like if they're not boss, like the whole conditions there applied, they're gonna gain valor. And if they play well enough, they gain they gain more glory than they lose glory. So in a mixture of those, we're gonna have some rewards, specific rewards, like kind of sort of a battle pass format for for players with certain levels of valor, and the ones with certain levels of glory also gonna get better and improved rewards over time. So kind of incorporate a battle pass system into dropping rewards to our players, and that when we incorporate our utility token to the game, that's also gonna bring the utility token. So let's say the higher amount of glory you have, the higher ranking you are, that also affect the amount of tokens you earn after a game. So if you win the game. So if you have 1,000 glory already because you have been climbing hard already, so the amount of glory, of tokens you earn is also affected. There's gonna be some limitations on that, how many, let's say, because kind of how many games you win per day, for example, gonna give you tokens. They're gonna be some specifics about that. But we're planning to bring traditional game progression elements, kind of adapt a little bit to Web3 and come with something original.
Yeah, no, I mean that's really smart. I love the idea of different ways to reward and even battle passes talked about here, because that's what I think people want is I want a reason to come back and play every single day, and that's the reason you see so many people spending so many hours right on Fortnite and things like that that have just used that battle pass system so well, and it keeps them engaged for a really long time. So I love that you guys are thinking about that. Bobby wants to know, you've been talking about this PvP. Is there going to be things like PvE quests, just maybe even battling against a computer or bot? What do you think about PvE?
Yeah, I think no, some days people might be too stressed or don't want to play against other people. It's a highly competitive experience. So we expect to sometimes people just don't feel they want to try hard and play against other person. And at the same time, we are planning to create a very rich story, a rich world in Theia. With characters, with all their backstories, background. Each character, each icon belonging to factions, and there's gonna be its whole story lore. We have that on the website on the white paper, but a very rich lore, intrigue, conflict, and everything. And we need to tell the story. We want to tell the story. So what ideas we have, and I think something we're gonna be incorporating after the game release, is releasing a PvE mode, kind of as a campaign story mode, where we tell the story, we develop the story of Theia through PvE missions, PvE story. So as you play the game, the PvE mode, you get to learn more about what's going on in the world. You get to know more about the characters, about the everything else that's going on, and that's the way we can also develop the story over time. By let's say, after some months, we get a new patch out and kind of bring the next chapter of the story, let's say, and then over time we develop the story and people we introduce more characters, introduce more elements, and yeah, that way we can evolve over time. But this PvE campaign mode is something that we really want to work on post release.
Yeah, I love that. Bobby's adding on to that, asking, will the different regions give any natural buff to certain icons? Is there, different factions here that, give different purposes or a reason maybe to root for or team up with a certain, faction or region?
I think in game, I think it's complicated to give some benefits. I think that wouldn't be like the approach we want here. I think like the factions like connected to the factions most like first in the lore base. Second, we're gonna have a mode called guild, like the guilds in the game, and have like a faction wars mode in which like you as like a member of a guild, you can kind of like your guild can like say pledge allegiance to one of the factions, and you compete against like guilds from other factions. Like, let's say we have right now 7 factions in the game, and imagine if you make a guild and you're representing one of the factions, you compete in a kind of like seasonal tournament against like let's say 6 other guilds in your division, in your league, that represent the 6 other factions, and you need to fight like to claim territory over the course of the season, and the guild with the most territory like they're the winner. So that's like how we want to incorporate the game, but and definitely like we have a lot of more details to share about it, but in the game itself, like I think we are a little like yeah, we don't want to bring the many elements. I think like it's more like kind of like a lore and more like related to the faction wars itself. But each like icon, each character like they have like their own background. They represent like they are part of one of the factions. So I think that's like how the approach we are preferring to take.
Yeah, I love it. Lots of exciting things and different gameplay ideas you guys got there. I love how you're trying to make it really engaging and incorporate, especially even some lore to it. I think that's what a lot of these NFT games are missing. I don't know about you guys, but I don't know how many games right now I can think of that actually have decent lore behind them. It's like
Web3 games is very hard. I have been playing like obviously some games like I tried SPLINTERLAND out, which like is a pretty fun like fast-paced experience. Some other ones like but you can't just say like Axie has like a rich lore, like come on, like that's that's complicated, and I believe like in a full immersive experience. I think like gamers like they want the immersive, they want to feel connection to your characters. They want to feel connected. Like I'm playing like with my icons. I want to feel some connection to them. I want to feel like who are they? Why they are doing this work? Like who are they? So I feel like something the league is very successful and that they did very well with their own IP is to give like kind of like give a personality, like make their champions feel alive, like feel part of a world, and the whole world of Runeterra, like it feels like as a world, like we just saw like in the Arcane show, like how much like we're able like to give like give a personality to each of their champions. And that's what we want to achieve here. Like I think some of the most successful IPs out there, they have been doing like extremely awesome job over the years that like kind of making their characters feel like they're real, like giving them real emotions, real feelings, and making them feel part of a real world. Warcraft's another one that like pops in mind, like that feels very, very realistic, and that's like we approach we want to have here. And that's why like personally like I'm the one like very working heavy on lore, on kind of like developing the character stories. I have been like writing short stories. We kind of like more introduction like content about our icons. Like eventually like we're gonna be working on cinematic videos as well, like kind of telling stories on like a more like visual way as well, which it's gonna be so awesome. But yeah, we want our players to feel connected to the world and to the characters. I think that's a very important thing we want to achieve here.
Yeah, I mean, I'll watch your Netflix show whenever it comes out. Just let me know.
Oh, yeah, that's like it's such a cool goal, like a long-term goal. Definitely.
Oh, that would be awesome. Well, yeah, I'm really excited about the game. I'm kind of more curious now to hear from either of you. Walk me through like who's on the team. Like, what are some of the past experiences of team members, so that I think when I'm looking at NFT games, one of the biggest things, if I'm putting a decent chunk of money, which obviously you can play for free here, which is great.
Yeah.
But if someone was putting a bunch of chunk of money here, I'd want to know like who's the team behind this. Like, how can we trust you guys? What's the experience? So this is your time. Just shout out your team members, whoever you want to highlight, and just lift up on a pedestal.
So we are like the core the co-founding team. We are 5 co-founders. As I mentioned, like my background is very heavily esports. I work like in several esports startups over the years, mostly on data and content. And 2.5 years ago, me and 2 of my co-founders, Dylan and Kalstup, create like a fantasy esports platform called Wrap and a social esports experience like around fantasy games, fantasy just like fantasy football in the US, but for esports. And pretty success, like 200,000 downloads, but decide to make our own game. Dylan and Carl actually they work in Amazon, Microsoft, so very pretty experienced software developers of their own. And since we started working on IoT, we are joined by Fino, who are our art director, who worked at IGG and other big game studios over the last 15 years. So 15 years experience in in creating art for games. And then we are joined by our product officer, Emmanuel, who worked at Bungie, where he was a PM for Destiny 2, and most recently in any other games as well. And most recently he was at Dapper Labs, working for the NFL product, NFL Day. So yeah, pretty let's say I feel we have the experience needed to create a fun game. We understand what is needed to create a fun game, but I think and the team definitely brings that out already. Me personally, I never work developing a game, which maybe might be good because I'm the marketing guy only. But I feel especially the rest of the team they have a lot of game development experience, and that is extremely handy. And that's one of the reasons why we be able to develop we have an MVP already, we have a playable version and that actually came extremely fast since we started working on this version. So. I think we got the skill set, and we're definitely hiring more experienced professionals to join the team. So we definitely I think we have the skill set and the experience that is needed to deliver a high quality game, that such as the one we are aiming to to release.
Great, Sasha. How about for you? What has your experience been like working with the team?
Oh, very good. I'm as I came into it in early this year. As I joined them, they were all really welcoming and really good help also to me to kind of get to know, because I was not that big in the NFT space and in the let's say Bitcoin or crypto space, and they're also supporting towards to educate me also, and if I have any questions, they're always there. And yeah, it's just overall, I really am happy in this team to work for them. Yeah, sure.
Good to hear that.
He's trying to nudge Sasha. Don't.
Okay, don't talk bad about me, please.
I love it. I love it. Well, as we kind of wrap up today, I want to hear you guys' what's the future long-term vision? What are some things you guys hope to accomplish this year? Give us a little future sight into what's coming up here.
So, and I think I didn't mention about that yet, but we're not only making a game, we are making a creator platform, pretty much. We are creating we want to give players the tools, the modding tools to create their own strategy game experience inside of Theia. So, and that's very heavily inspired by Warcraft 3, which first a very fun, enjoyable RTS game. But they provide they made they gave modding options to their community, so they can create their own game maps, their own game experience, even their whole games inside of Warcraft 3. And that's why they came up with MOBAs 20 years ago. That's how Dota was created, as a mod from Warcraft 3. Not only Warcraft 3, Arma 2, very enjoyable, great game itself, but also with a modding system inside of Arma 2. And that's how the community came up with Battle Royales, or Dota 2 itself, Dota 2, the MOBA that was originated from Warcraft 3 from a mod, also had modding creation tools inside of it, and people came up with a lot of great games, a lot of game modes, and that's how auto battles were created. So the trend here is clear that if you provide the tools to community, there's so many passionate creators that want to create their own game experiences. They just need the tools to and create something pretty awesome, create something pretty unique, and they just need the tools to do so. So one of our goals here is to create a full-on creator platform in which we provide the tools and the mechanisms we empower our community to create their own experience inside of Icons of Theia. That can range from simple different maps, could like different like game modes of Icons of Theia, like to also like potentially full completely new gaming experiences. So our mode is that like we as a company we are provide like the first core game experience with Icons of Theia, like the turn-based strategy game. But our goal like for our platform to last like for the next like several years to come is like our community creates the next 10 years of fun, let's say, in form of like new enjoyable gaming experiences. So it's hard like to tell like okay we want to be the Roblox of Web3, like it's very like kind of sounds very ambitious. But I think like the way we want to do that is that we want to provide the tools to empower the community, not only like a plain IoT, but also creating own experiences and also be rewarded for that. So we're gonna have like a native token only like for the kind of like the creation tools. And so pretty much like we want to reward our community members who create like awesome new experiences that like are played by a lot of people, and they kind of had a chance to monetize that through our own native token like exclusively for for creation tools. So that's like our approach, and not only like new game experiences, but like that's branched like to content creation as well. That also can be art, like can be like new skins, for example. Like we ask like we make like contests like asking for new skins, for example, and external artists like community artists can like participate, and the DAO decides like which ones they want to bring to the game. So like kind of like connecting pretty much like all the dots here into like empower our community, like helping them creating the content and bring new features to the game, but also empower the community to decide what they want to have in the game. So it's kind of like again, it goes back to what I mentioned at the start, like about like empowering like our community, empowering the DAO, and that's like one of the ways we want to do it. Like through a very like robust and strong creator platform in which like our community is gonna have like an active voice to decide what they want and what they do not want to have in the game, and creators like that like chosen creators, they're gonna be able like to monetize their creations, let's say.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the really powerful things about these NFT games, right? Is that you're actually rewarding people. You think of how many people have made fan art or, as you said, mods into certain games for free, for essentially no return, right? And to actually be able to reward them for their time and their effort for creating content for a game. I think that's huge. So I'm glad that you guys have that in mind. Apparently you're exciting people in the chat already because you're asking if they have job openings for marketing. That's awesome. I mean,
for any inquiries, like just check out our Discord. I can send a link to our Discord there on the chat here, like now.
I'll link it in the podcast notes. And
great. Yeah, I can send like the guys that are talking here, but like our Discord is here, like just like send a message to us there, and we can chat further. But I think like reading some of the comments here, mods gonna be like NFTs also. I think the idea we have right now is that technically you can have your own economy inside of your like kind of mod, let's say, that you can have your own like an internal economy. So if you create like a pretty good like mod inside of Icons of Theia, you can kind of like tokenize it and make it like its own internal community, economy. Like you can sell and assets and etc. by you and then using or like a specific like creator like token as the currency for it. That's like I like the approach you have for it. So you can be able to fully like commercialize, fully monetize your own creations inside of Icons of Theia.
Perfect, awesome. Sasha, how about you as we wrap up here? Like, what is most exciting to you as you're thinking about these next few months?
Well, I'm as a influencer and guild manager. I'm looking forward to have really good connections with the people and really to get our game out there to our community and to widen the community and get it bigger. So when we get the game out, so that we have a really big community already and that they all enjoy the game.
Awesome.
That is the most exciting thing for me.
Sweet. Well, we'll definitely have you guys' links in for the Discord website. Is there any other place that people can connect with you guys, or giveaways or referrals to know about? Anything you guys want to shout out as we wrap up today?
Shout out to our amazing community, have been supporting us since we announced the game in December. Like a lot of support, a lot of help, and I think like what I appreciate about the community most is that differently than most Web3 communities, like who keep asking like when game, who keep impatient when there are like some delays or impatient when the game is not out yet. Our community is very understanding of our vision here, of our very long-term vision of creating like a fun and enjoyable experience, gaming experience first and foremost. Again, and I love to reiterate this, but we want to make a game. First and foremost, is a game that happens within a blockchain and not like a deposit, not like a blockchain project that has some gaming elements. But so we want to make a game, and I appreciate our community for being so patient, waiting and being part of this journey, giving feedback, giving some ideas of how what and how we can do things. So I really as usual, big shout out to our community for being so awesome over the last months. And I really can't wait to to more that we're gonna be showing soon. Being checking new that versions of the game. I can see that we're getting a very good stage that we want to also work with the community, play with the community, and kind of keep iterating based on that. But yeah, I think big shout out to our community. Everyone's amazing.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys have an actual community of gamers, which is wild for for gaming companies. It's awesome that they're not just here for the investment; they're actually here for the fun, for the game, to be a community with you guys. So appreciate how you guys are handling, going about everything. It's been great to chat with you guys today. Hopefully, we'll get some maybe future meetups again here soon. But excited to see, and best of luck to you guys on the project. And if you guys want to, if you're listening on the podcast or on the video afterwards, please go check out Icons of Theia and Discord. All the links will be there provided for you guys. But for now, we're signing off. Thank you guys for being here, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.